this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. So the topic now is segregation. Black Americans never had a problem with segregation. Now, that means the majority, the collective of Black Americans never had a problem with segregation. There were always Black people who thought we were going to be better off if we were mixing with the white folks. But as far as the collective is concerned, I think most of us would be okay with segregation as long as we are able to thrive. And when Black communities were thriving under segregation, they were fine. The problem came in when people decided that we need to destroy these thriving Black communities and trying to convince us that somehow we were going to be better off if we were integrated. And there are some good and some bad in both of them. But today's topic is Black people never really had a problem with segregation. Now, some will disagree, but I'm going to stand on that because I believe that there is a misconception that Black people are upset because white people have decided to go out and create these whites-only towns. Listen to this.
I don't know if you've heard about this, but did you know that there's a group of white people that want to make a white-only community in Arkansas? And what's crazy is it's starting to spread into other states. What's staggering is the fact that there are white people cool with it.
It's so weird watching Black people get mad at white people for starting functioning white communities. It's like, you know how happy we'd be to see Black people start a functioning Black community? Like, we would leave you to it. We would be, oh my goodness, good for you guys. Unironically, please. Like, you already have the demographics in Jackson and Detroit. There are zero scenarios where the political outcomes of those cities are not entirely within the parameters of Black organization and responsibility. So turn it into Wakanda. Like, I would feel solidarity and pride with a 95% low crime, high productivity Black city, or several in the United States. I wouldn't be like, we need to get in there and diversify it. I'd be like, no, let them do their thing. And if a bunch of Caucasians want to go in the woods and milk goats alone, shut up.
So this man doesn't know American history. He made this self-serving video claiming that Black people are all upset about those all-white towns that they call themselves making in Arkansas and Missouri. And he says they're going to be all over the country. And I've got news for him. There are already a lot of towns in certain parts of this country that are all white. And Black people are not agonizing over those towns. And Black people are not bothering them. Black people don't even speak on those communities unless something happens. That's when Black people talk about them, when something happens to a Black person. They're called Sundown Towns, and they exist all over this country. So he doesn't know what he's talking about. But let's go on.
We've underestimated how central tribalism, like ethnic tribalism, is to the human condition. And in trying to demonize it, we've repressed it to the point that it's now coming back with a vengeance. But it's not innately evil. You can still have in-group preference, a desire to preserve your culture and way of life, and have solidarity with a community of people who are like you, while respecting other groups. And let me just say, white people don't care if Black people want to be left to their own devices.
That's another lie. White people do care if Black people want to be left to their own devices. Let Black people come up with anything, whether it's music, whether it's art, whether it's quilting. White people find a way to insert themselves into it. So that is incorrect.
Black people have done that before. And guess what happened? White people came in and burned the motherfucker down.
That is very true. They burned our communities down. They flooded our communities. They put highways between our communities to make it difficult for the community to be cohesive. They put train tracks between our communities. They did everything to ruin those communities. Now, here is some commentary that explains the whole thing, because this lie needs to be stopped, that we want to be integrated. Whenever we have thriving communities, whenever we become successful, then there becomes a narrative that we need to mix in with the white people, mostly so they can exploit whatever it is and get the credit for it. But listen to this.
I recently saw a viral video from a white content creator who claimed that white only signs were being put up in Missouri. He said he didn't care about the reasoning behind it, that now's the time for people to speak up. Well, allow me to speak up too. Let's make one thing clear. Segregation was never the problem. White supremacy was. After slavery ended, black Americans built thriving self-sufficient communities. Oscarville, Seneca Village, Black Wall Street. And what happened? We circulated our own money, supported our own businesses, and we flourished until they burnt it down, drowned it, or seized it through their so-called laws. We were never afraid of being separate. We were afraid of being attacked for succeeding while being separate. Integration didn't save us, it diluted us, and it mostly benefited white folks. Because let's be honest, most black folks today don't center whiteness in their lives. I can go weeks, even months, without socializing with a single white person, and I'm just fine. The only reason we still interact is because we have to, for work, for survival, for systems that were never built for us. So when I hear talk of white-only towns, my first thought is, good luck. Not because we are angry, but because you'll still need us to survive. You don't want white-only spaces. You want white-only control, with black, brown, and immigrant labor. You want white-only luxury with multicultural sweat. If you really want separation, real honest segregation, you stop interfering every time black people build something beautiful. The black dollar is $1 billion power. We've built before, and we will again. But this time, we demand peace. Our ancestors only fought to be included in spaces because they were locked out of resources. We don't want your acceptance. We want our autonomy. So if you want white-only towns, by all means, go build them. But this time, leave us alone while we build ours too. No burning, no bombing, no sabotage. Because separation can work, but only if your supremacy doesn't follow us into it.
My home state of Alabama, being a former slave state, was segregated the early part of my life. And we existed alongside the white people, not integrated, but segregated. And we were happy. We were happy in our schools. We were happy in our churches. We were happy in our communities. We had our thing going, and the white people had their thing going. And I believe that we were healthier emotionally when we were segregated because you had the limited contact with white people, but we work together. These neighborhoods now where black people live, where they have crime and people bothering each other, we didn't have that going on in our small town segregated communities. We didn't. And in our school, we had sports programs. Black men could always play sports, even in the segregated schools. They played great sports. We had our music programs. We had a curriculum that was tailored to our learning, and our teachers were really involved in our success in the classroom. So the people who think segregation was so awful because we weren't around white people are wrong. The only thing that was wrong with it, as she said, is number one, we were locked out of resources, and number two, we were always under siege. There was always the threat that an individual or the entire community, for that matter, could be attacked over the smallest thing. But as far as wanting to socialize with them and be around them, black people collectively did not want that. Now, I'm not going to try to speak for everybody. There are always outliers. There are always black people who think the white man's ice is colder, his sugar is sweeter, his woman is better. There's always black people who think like that. But I'm going to go with a majority and say the majority of us would be fine if we could thrive in the environment that we live, not always bracing yourself for attack and not be locked out of resources. Now, I want y'all to let me know what you think about this. Am I right? Correct me if I'm wrong, and have a good evening.